Hi, my name is Marlene and I'm from Malta. Please like and subscribe. My family was extremely rich. Almost every person in the country worked for Dad's huge factory that produces diamond rings. I was born in a private hospital inside our mansion, and we have doctors who work only for us. I had golden hair and blue eyes, and everyone had heard about what a beauty I was. Every citizen gathered outside our mansion waiting for Dad to introduce me to them.
I have no intention of showing my girl to those freaks.
But honey, it would make them so happy. We are the richest people in the country. They want to see her.
That's none of my business. They get paid for their work, and that's enough for them. Our daughter is not a painting in a museum that anyone can see.
He went inside and ignored the crowd. Growing up, I had no idea about the outside world. All I knew about life was within the walls of our mansion, which was slowly becoming my prison. And to make it even worse, within the first few months of being born, knowing what inheritance I would get and how beautiful I'd be, many parents would knock on our door and ask my dad to reserve me for their sons and marry them when I turn 18. Seriously, what was I, a restaurant table to be reserved? But Dad thought differently. When I was 7, one day I was playing in my huge private playground when Dad approached me together with a friend and his 7-year-old son.
Marlene, this is Kyle, your future husband. His father and I just became great partners, and when you marry Kyle, our partnership will only become stronger.
I had no idea what he was talking about, but luckily Mom came in and saved the situation.
Dear, I do not find this the appropriate moment to share our plans with our daughter. She has plenty of time.
Then she took my hand and we went inside the house to start my French class, which I enjoyed. My teacher was a typical Parisian girl, and she always used to tell me beautiful things about Paris. I would love to go there, but Dad wouldn't let me go anywhere. I wasn't even allowed to watch the news. One day, when I was 12, I watched all the Storytime animated videos. And while waiting for them to upload to the next one, I decided to watch TV for the first time. I turned it on and I was shocked. Every news channel wasn't working. Instead, consecutive terrible videos of massacres worldwide were playing.
15 cars and 20 houses were burned down today by vandals who refused to obey the law.
Wow! At that very moment, Dad was standing behind me.
Do you see what's going on out there? You are safe only inside this house. You can eat anything you want. You have medical care. You have a private teacher. What else do you need?
But I still would like to see what it's like outside the house. You and Mom are good people. Maybe there are more people like you.
Nonsense. Everyone else beside your future husband is a terrible person. They will take advantage of your beauty and wealth. Now go back to your room. I have work to do.
This situation was going too far. I was almost a grown-up at that point. I needed to try new things, but it was useless to ask to leave the house unless I was accompanied by my parents. The only times when I left the prison was when we'd go on a trip. When I was 14, Dad finally decided to take me to Paris, and the 3 of us flew to Paris on Dad's private jet. From the airport, we went straight to the luxurious suite that Dad had brought years ago. It was so beautiful. But right when I thought everything was finally getting better, Dad left and came back into the apartment with a young guy by his side.
Marlene, you remember Kyle? I introduced you to about 7 years ago. He's your future husband, and guess what? He's studying in Paris right now, so I thought you two could finally get to know each other.
Yes, Kyle was very handsome and probably a bright guy, but I didn't know him at all. Plus, I was too young. I wanted to enjoy life a little more before getting married. This time, I was fed up with Dad. I couldn't believe that he did this to me. He ruined the only dream I almost accomplished. Is this why we're in Paris? At least can we talk after I see the city?
Absolutely. That's why I bought this apartment with a view from the Eiffel Tower. Come on, Kyle. Let's go talk business.
They walked out of the flat and he locked me in. Oh no, I didn't come all this way to be locked in again. What was out there anyway? There should be a way out of this prison. I was in Paris. I wanted to see it. All of my fashion idols had their shops here. So I watched from the window and ensured that my parents had left. Luckily, the building was so luxurious that it had room service, and I called the hall. Hi, can you make me a tuna sandwich and bring it to the top floor? Yes, it's the only flat on the top floor. Thank you. Listen, bring an extra key, please. I forgot mine in the car. Thank you. While I was waiting for the waiter to bring my order, I quickly started packing again. But if there was one thing I knew about the world already, it's that money is a huge part of everything. There should be a safe in the apartment where Dad kept the cash. I went into his studio and looked around. One of the paintings looked like it wasn't placed properly, and I guessed that the safe could be hidden behind it. I removed the painting and voila! The safe was there. The code couldn't be anything else but my birthday. Dad had used that code for years everywhere. I pressed the buttons, but suddenly the alarm went on. I had pressed the wrong combination. At the same moment, the waiter opened the door and I ran outside. I bumped into the waiter and everything went flying, crashing to the floor. I panicked so badly that I didn't care about anything anymore. I avoided taking the elevator, but the police were probably there by now, so I took the emergency stairs. The police were also there. I improvised. Please help! The waiter wanted to rob my dad's money! He's inside! The policeman went up the stairs and I sneaked downstairs. I immediately regretted what I had just done. Poor waiter! He was gonna get into so much trouble. But I panicked and that was the only thing that came to my mind. I finally left the building and crossed the street and stopped for a moment and looked back. From a distance, I saw Dad's car pulling up in a hurry in front of the entrance and both my parents running inside. I kind of felt sorry for them, but I also felt sorry for myself for being a prisoner for such a long time. Mom was paying for Dad's misbehavior too. Anyway, I kept walking cluelessly. I was in Paris without a penny, without clothes, but at least my French teacher had taught me well. I spent 2 whole days just walking and eating other people's leftovers. My clothes were dirty and my stomach was empty, but I wasn't going to go back to that prison. I slept in public shelters which were full of kind people, contrasting to what Dad had told me. 2 days later, while walking on the street, I saw my picture hanging on a tree with the word missing. I covered myself and kept walking until I reached a restaurant. I entered. The waiter approached me. He was a very cute boy and about my age. Since I've always been served at home, I didn't even know how to order and I just said, "I'm hungry."
Of course you are. That's why you are here. How can I help you?
I don't know. How can you? I want to eat, but I don't have any money. How can I eat in this place?
I wish I could help you, but today's my first day at this place.
Please? I looked up at him and saw the kindness inside his eyes.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'll bring you a nice plate with chicken and rice. You eat most of it, and then at the end, call me and say that there's a hair on your plate, and you won't need to pay anything.
How could the world be a bad place? He was an amazing guy. He brought me the plate, and we stuck to the plan. Thank you very much. I have to go now. I went out and waited for him. He came a few minutes later with a smile on his face. I don't even know your name.
I'm Pierre. And you?
My name is Maria.
Nice to meet you. Where are you sleeping tonight?
I don't know yet.
Let's go.
And then he started walking. I didn't know what else to do, so I followed him. While walking on the street, Pierre stopped and looked at one of my missing pamphlets on the trees.
Look at her. Do you know who she is?
No. And I turned the other way around so he wouldn't spot any similarity between my current appearance and the girl in the photo.
It's just a super spoiled rich kid who has no respect for other people. You know, for 5 years, I worked in the building where she came for her luxurious vacation and told the police that I wanted to steal from her dad's safe. Can you believe that? I spent 36 hours in a police station just because her father wanted me in jail.
Suddenly, the whole world collapsed onto me. Pierre was the waiter who I had sacrificed to escape. I had ruined his life by lying and getting him arrested.
Luckily, they found the videotapes of the apartment and the story was cleared up, but I had already lost my job by then.
We walked for about 30 minutes and then arrived at his home. It was the smallest place I'd ever been to, but somehow it felt like home more than my real home ever did.
Here are some towels and some clothes from my sister's. She leaves them here for when she comes over sometimes. You could take the bed, I'll pull some blankets and sleep on the floor.
Wasn't he the cutest thing ever? Thank you very much for all of this. I went to the bathroom to take a shower and prepared myself for the possibility that when I returned, he would recognize me. So I prepared an "I'm sorry" speech in my head. But when I returned to the bedroom, Pierre was fully asleep. Then I slept too, like never before. But the next morning when I woke up, Pierre was gone. Suddenly, dozens of police officers smashed the door and barged in. Right behind them was Dad, and behind him, Pierre!
Here, son. Here's the key to our apartment here in Paris. It is yours, cuz we're not coming back here anymore. Marlene, let's go.
Pierre?
Sorry, miss. I recognized you as soon as I saw you. It's time I got my revenge.
No, please! Pierre, I'm sorry. It wasn't intentional. I just panicked and wanted to run away from him. Don't let me go with him. He'll put me back in prison.
Prison? What's going on here? You told us that your girl is missing, not that she escaped your prison. That's not your business. Come on, Marlene. I've got better things to do.
In the meantime, Mom walked in at the right moment as always.
No, you have nothing better to do. The best thing to do is take good care of your daughter. If she escaped from us, it means that something might be wrong. Instead of giving her orders, maybe you should start trying to understand her.
And she came close to me, sat with me on the bed, and hugged me. For the first time in my life, Dad was speechless. Pierre was still there, looking at me, but now he was sad and probably understood what he did.
I'm sorry, Marlene. I didn't know. I never would have called your dad about your old life.
No, I'm sorry that I got you fired. I didn't mean it. I just panicked.
Well, I think this is a personal matter now. Let's go, guys.
They left, and finally, Dad spoke.
My dear, as I've told you many times, you are the most beautiful creature in the world, and I've only been meaning to protect you. But apparently, I found the wrong way of doing it. You're right. You should be free to explore the world and your opportunities. Just so you know, I will always support you.
And again, another thing that happened for the first time, we hugged.
So, what do you want to do first?
I knew exactly what I wanted, and I didn't have to think any further. I'm staying in Paris. I want to study at Sorbonne. Pierre and I will share our apartment. Dad's eyes went wide open. As friends, he deserves a proper place to stay, and you will finance both of my studies and his. It's the least I can do for him.
It's never easy for a parent to let their kids go, but consider it done.
2 years later, when I and Pierre were having breakfast in one of our favorite cafes in Champs-Élysées, a guy showed up at our table.
Marlene, you're still with this dude?
It was Kyle! Kyle?
Do you know this dude?
Well, yes, he was supposed to be my husband.
Luckily, we didn't marry. Looking at you, I know now she didn't deserve me.
Suddenly, Pierre got angry and stood up.
You stop talking like that about my girlfriend right now.
Chill, honey. Kyle was just leaving. Right, Kyle?
I'm not going anywhere.
I had had enough of him and threw my coffee in his face. Oops, je suis de sol. He started crying like a baby and left. What a wimp. Hey y'all, my name's Tanisha and I'm from France. Please like and subscribe. Growing up, I had something very wrong with me. I was addicted to milk. It all started when my mom first introduced it to me when I was 3 years old. She handed me a carton of the heavenly stuff, and as soon as I took one sip, my eyes sparkled like a firework display. Do you like it?
Mom, this is the best thing I've ever tasted.
Fast forward a few years, and now I had milk with every meal of the day. My mom had to put me on a limit because otherwise I would become too sick from it. One evening, I got home from school. My mom was at work like usual, and I went to the fridge to have my 5th carton of milk for the day. But when I opened the fridge, I saw something that made me scream. We had run out of milk! I started hyperventilating. This can't be happening! This can't be happening! I quickly walked out of the house. I had to buy some milk from the grocery store. Now! At first I started walking, but then I sped up into a full-on sprint. When I arrived at the store, I burst in and ran straight to the milk section. I grabbed a bunch, but before I went to check out, I felt my heart drop. I hadn't brought any money with me. I couldn't even buy the milk. I was really starting to panic now, and I don't know what came over me. I couldn't wait. So, I opened up the cartons and drank the milk straight from it. Miss? Hello? You can't do that! I ignored the worker's shouts and drank as much as I could. Oi, you! Stop that! Kaya, stop her! On it, boss! Kaya, the worker, approached me and gently lowered the carton of milk. I'm very sorry, miss, but I can't let you do that. I groaned. I was starting to feel lightheaded. Then suddenly, the whole world went sideways and I blacked out. When I woke up, the pretty girl was there again. What was her name? Oh God, are you all right? My baby! Mom hugged me. Thank you so much for calling me, Kaya. I really appreciate this. Anytime. Mom lifted me up and led me outside to the car. I burped, my stomach rumbling angrily. How did you know I was here? The girl who works there. She's the daughter of a friend of mine who just moved here. Kaya. I nodded. Then a thought entered my head, loud and demanding. Did you get more milk? Mom sighed. Yes, dear, I did. I smiled happily. That's all I wanted. The next day at school, I entered the classroom and nearly fell flat on my face when I saw who was sitting next to my seat. Kaya, the girl from the grocery store. Great. Just great. I felt so embarrassed by how I acted yesterday. And this girl had seen me. Would she tell the whole school? I shuffled over awkwardly and sat down. Hi, it's Tanisha, right? Yes. Nice to meet you. I think our moms are friends. Yeah, I heard that. I would love to be friends with you too. Oh, I was taken aback. Was she not afraid of me? Jeepers. You want to be friends with this loser? I looked up and rolled my eyes. It was Vixie, our school's version of Regina George. Listen up, girl. Take my advice. Stay away from this creep. She has this sick obsession with milk. Hey, don't speak to her that way! The whole classroom went quiet. Vixie was stunned. She wasn't used to being defied. What did you just say? You heard me! I was speechless. Who was this girl? Kaya looked like she was about to punch Vixie in the face, but before things could escalate, the teacher walked in. Sit down, you two! This isn't the Kardashians. This is maths class. Now open up your page to chapter 3. While we all settled down, Kaya flashed me a smile. I blushed. But on the other side, Vixie wiped her fingers across her throat menacingly. I gulped. After that day, Kaya and I hung out all the time. My mom asked Kaya to come over one night for dinner, and we had so much fun. Later, we hung out in my room for a bit, and that's when Kaya asked me about my addiction. Tanisha, can I ask you something personal? Sure. Why are you obsessed with drinking milk? I don't know. I guess it helps me cope. With what? The pain? High school? Kaya was quiet for a while before she suddenly took my hand. I want to help you, Tanisha. This obsession of yours, it's not healthy. There's other ways of coping with hardship. I can be one of those ways. I felt tears fill my eyes. Why are you being so nice to me? Because I can tell you're a good person. I want to help. Will you let me help you? I hesitated, then finally gave in. Yes. Kaya smiled and we hugged. I felt hopeful for the first time in a long time. For weeks, we worked on cutting back on my milk consumption. It was really hard at first, but with Kaya's help, I managed to improve. Until one day. We were at a restaurant, me, Kaya, and Mom, when a waiter came over and offered me a jug of cold milk. Would you like some? I could feel Kaya and Mom's eyes on me. I was about to accept, but then something made me stop. No thanks. The waiter nodded and moved off. And when I turned to look at Kaya and Mom, they were red with joy. You did it! Oh, baby, I'm so proud of you! They buried me in hugs and I felt so proud of myself, too. Things were going great. Until one day, everything went to shambles. I was in Kaya's room and we were doing math homework. Well, I was. Kaya was glued to her phone for some reason. Kaya, what's the Pythagoras theorem again? No answer. Kaya? Kaya! Huh? Jeez, what is up with you? Oh, nothing. Who do you keep texting? No one. Kaya. Fine. It's this guy. My blood ran cold. A guy? Yeah. What guy? I met him on a dating app. He's so funny. Oh, that's nice. Right? Kaya went back to texting this mystery guy while I went back to my homework. Or at least I tried to, but I couldn't help it. I was jealous. The next day at school, I waited at our usual lunch table, but this time Kaya didn't show up. I sat there alone when Vixie and her gang of vipers showed up. Jeepers. It's that weirdo Tanisha. Please leave me alone, Vixie. She speaks. I'm surprised she speaks English. The way she acts, she seems more like a cow. Cows don't drink milk, Vixie, if that's what you're trying to say. Oh, whatever. Where's your girlfriend, huh? Kaya's not my girlfriend. Huh, yeah, right. We all know milk isn't the only thing you're obsessed with. She probably got bored of you. Just leave me alone, all right? I stood up, knocking over my chair, which crashed loudly. Everyone froze and watched us. Vixie narrowed her eyes evilly. Watch it, hun. I was too furious to speak, so I did the next best thing. I grabbed the carton of milk from Vixie's tray and dumped it all over her. The crowd gasped, and her Viper friends all squealed to avoid getting splashed. How dare you! I smiled. Bye! Later after school, I walked by the playground and I spotted a familiar figure. Kaya was sitting on the swings, once again, texting. Kaya! Oh, hi, Tanisha. Why weren't you at school? Oh, Max and I went on a virtual date. We went to the movies. It was so much fun. I froze. Max? Yeah, that guy from the dating app. Kaya, I never see you anymore. Well, sorry, but I have a boyfriend now. What? But Kaya! Listen, Tanisha! I won't be around forever to be at your beck and call. I helped you out of your addiction to milk. Give me a break! Tears welled in my eyes. Kaya's face fell. Tanisha, I'm sorry. I didn't mean... But I was already gone. I ran as fast as I could towards home. But on the way, I noticed a grocery store. It was the same one Kaya worked at. I hesitated. I shouldn't. But my feet seemed to move of their own accord. And suddenly, I was inside opening up the fridge to where the milk was stored. I opened up the first carton. That seemed to vanish in seconds. Then I opened up another. Then another. I gulped them down as if they were air. I started to feel really sick, as if my brain was in a washing machine. And before I passed out, I heard Kaya's voice calling for me, but I was pretty sure it was just a hallucination. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. Kaya and Mom were beside me. Mom? Kaya? Tanisha! Baby! Water? Of course, honey. I'll get you some water. When Mom left, Kaya stepped closer and held my hand. She was crying. I'm so sorry, Tanisha. I never meant what I said. I really care about you. I didn't say anything. I was still groggy from passing out. Do you forgive me? I smiled. Of course I do. Oh, thank God! I don't know what I would do without my best friend! I murmured in agreement, but I was a little sad, because the truth was, I wanted to be more than best friends. But still, having Kaya back was great. We hung out all the time, just like we used to. But then one night while we were in my room watching a movie, I noticed Kaya messaging on her phone instead of paying attention to the movie. What you doing? Kaya quickly turned off her phone. Nothing. Oh, okay. We watched the movie for a bit, but then I couldn't take it anymore. Are you talking to Max again? I hadn't really expected Kaya to cut things off with him, but it hurt me that she had tried to hide it from me. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I didn't want you to feel left out. Kaya, you can tell me anything. Kaya seemed to hesitate, but then she nodded. You're right. Okay, here, look. This is Max. She showed me a picture of some hot guy with abs. He looked like Zac Efron. In fact, he looked exactly like Zac Efron. This is him? You're kidding, right? No, this is really Max. Kaya, have you met him yet? No, but... Have you video called? No, but I don't see why. Kaya, I'm sorry to say this, but I think you're being catfished. Shut up! Honestly, I knew you would react this way. But Kaya, I'm going to the toilet. Just, please, when I get back, be a little more open-minded, all right? She left me feeling confused and uncertain, but she also left her phone on. I looked at it. I couldn't resist. I opened up her messages with Max, and what I found made me gasp. Hey, Max. How you doing today, baby?
Better now I've seen you.
LOL. But baby, we haven't actually seen each other. When can we meet?
Soon. But jeepers, I really want to see you.
That word, jeepers. I knew only one person that said it. And if what I was suspecting was true, I had to do something quick. Suddenly, the door opened and Kaya returned. Hey, She froze when she spotted me on her phone. What are you doing? Look, I can explain. No! Oh God, Tanisha! I can't be your friend if you're constantly up in my biz! But Kaya, why are you so jealous? It's not like we're dating. But no, I've had it. Kaya gathered her things and snatched the phone from me. I'm leaving. Goodbye, Tanisha. Kaya! She slammed the door and disappeared. If only she knew what I had discovered about her supposed boyfriend, Max. I tried calling her and messaging her to explain what I knew, but she wasn't reading them or answering my calls. It seemed she had blocked me. Fine. Looked like I'd have to take care of this on my own. The next day at school, I walked through the hallways to find many people whispering and giggling. What were they blabbering about? Suddenly, Kaya appeared, running and crying. Kaya! She ignored me and ran past. Confused, I headed to my locker and found a poster on it. I stepped closer, but what I saw shocked me to my core. It was a screenshot of Kaya and Max's text messages, and it said, Kaya got catfished. What a loser! I was furious. I knew exactly who had done this, but I didn't know they would take it this far. I headed over to the perpetrator's locker. They closed the locker, and that's when I pounced. Vixie, how could you? Vixie looked at me snidely. How could I what? You know exactly what I'm talking about. No, I don't believe I do. You're the one that tricked Kaya. You pretended to be Max, just so you could humiliate her. People were starting to notice us and gather around. No one will believe you. What? Who would ever believe the crazy milk girl? Vixie, I swear to God you're gonna pay for this. Oh, really? What are you gonna do? Ah! I pounced on Vixie and clawed at her. Vixie squealed, and pretty soon we were at an intense catfight. The crowd around us was whooping and hollering, but eventually they all scattered when the principal showed up. Ladies, calm down! We were taken to the principal's office where we were questioned. Now tell me, why were you two fighting like parrots? Because Vixie catfished my friend and put mean posters all over the school. Huh, do you really believe this, Principal Murray? Tanisha attacked me because I tried to ask her how she was doing with the, the milk situation. I was just trying to help. She must have gotten offended, and that's when she swung at me. I was only defending myself. Damn, she was really good at lying. That does seem more plausible. Tanisha, do you have any proof of Vixie doing this? She used the word jeepers. Tanisha, that's not nearly enough evidence. Vixie smirked. But then, I suddenly remembered. Actually, I do have evidence. I brought out my phone, opened up the dating app, and located Vixie's fake profile. I sent a message to the account, and sure enough, Vixie's phone pinged. See? Vixie looked horrified, and Principal Murray nodded. That should do it. Later, while walking home, I found Kaya sitting on the swing set again by herself. I sat down beside her. How you feeling? The whole school thinks I'm a laughingstock, so not that good. I found out who was pretending to be Max. Who? Vixie. Ugh, that brat! I'm really sorry, Kaya. It's okay. It just feels like I was dumped, even though I wasn't. This is so weird. Just forget about him. Her. Whatever. I know, but I just wanted to be loved. Kaya broke down into sobs while I comforted her. Then suddenly, I cupped her face in my hands and wiped away her tears. Don't be sad. You've got me. Kaya smiled. Thanks, Tanisha. I don't know what I would do without... I leaned in and kissed her. Kaya pushed back, shocked. I love you. Kaya seemed torn, but then, slowly, she leaned in too, and we kissed. I was so happy.
Mommy, yesterday when you weren't home, Daddy had a woman here.
A woman? What did she look like?
Well, she looked very pretty. I saw them kiss on the lips.
I think my twin sister Vanessa was angry because my dad hadn't brought her the stuffed animal she wanted. My dad had been bringing Melissa, his mistress, over for months now, but he told us not to tell our mom and bribed us with ice cream and sweets. Hi, my name is Riley and I'm from Maine. Please like and subscribe. The next day, my mom pretended to go to work but hid in a nearby bush. When my dad came home with Melissa, she jumped out of the bushes and made a scene.
So this is what you've been doing while I've been out working?
Honey, calm down.
Why are you calling her honey? I thought you said you were finished with her. Shut up! No one was talking to you, you home-wrecking piece of...
There was so much noise that the police had to be called. It was the first time my sister and I had ever witnessed a fight like that. So, as you can probably guess, Mom and Dad got a divorce. I stayed with my mom and Vanessa went to live with my dad and Melissa. Yeah, he didn't know that Vanessa was the one who snitched on him. Vanessa got to move to the most expensive part of town because Melissa was loaded, while I was left with Mom's dingy old house. So unfair. Over the years, we drifted apart and we rarely saw each other. 13 years later, I was creating chaos everywhere I went. It was sort of like my trademark, you know?
Riley, get out here, hurry!
Kaden called to me. One sec. We'd broken into my math teacher's house and lit firecrackers everywhere. I hopped out the window just as they started going off. We saw him running downstairs in his underwear looking frantic. It was hilarious. My friends and I did stuff like that all the time. We looked pretty scary too. I had about 4 piercings and refused to wear anything but black. Never mind my appearance, I was still a hopeless romantic, and I'd been crushing on Kaden for ages. While we were running away from my math teacher's house, I decided to just tell him. Hey Kaden, can I tell you something?
What?
I really like you. Like, I've had a crush on you since 6th grade.
Okay.
Okay, that's all?
Well, I see you more like a sister. I don't really think you're my type. I like girly girls and, well, you're like one of the guys.
I cried all night and woke up looking like a zombie. My mom wouldn't let me leave the house until I told her what was wrong. A boy broke my heart and now I'm devastated. Happy now?
I think this is because of your father.
What?
I think you have daddy issues. I'll get in touch with a therapist today. We'll get through this.
And this is why I hate opening up to adults. They make everything sound worse sometimes. I definitely did not need therapy. But later that day, I wondered if I really did have daddy issues. I had no relationship with my dad and I felt like I knew nothing about him. Was there a way to fix this? I decided to call my sister Vanessa. Even though we drifted apart, we still kept in touch. Hey sis, listen, I have an idea.
Quickly, please. I've got cello practice in a while.
Don't you ever wish you could spend more time with Mom?
Yeah, but Melissa's a great stepmom. To be honest, it's Dad I'm tired of. I wish I could get away from him for a while. He's so annoying.
I actually want to spend more time with Dad, so here's my idea. Let's switch places for about a week. What? It took about a half hour of convincing, but Vanessa finally came through. We met at a mall after school the next day and made the switch.
There, now you look just like me,
Vanessa said as I looked into the mirror, horrified. I look too innocent. I hate this dress. Give me back my nose ring. No, Dad would faint. Ugh, fine. Let's go home. Have fun. I walked into my dad's house and felt like I was in a different world. There were chandeliers, marble floors, and everything.
Hey honey, go get changed for dinner quickly.
My dad said as he patted me on the head. He didn't even realize I wasn't Vanessa. Where's my room again? I went up the fancy staircase and gazed into every room until I found the one which I thought would belong to Vanessa. It was like someone had vomited pink onto everything. This was one of the thousands of adjustments I'd need to make. Even dinner was a challenge. It started on the first night.
Darling, your elbows are on the table. Where are your table manners?
Sorry?
You've got to practice the cello for 1 hour after dinner, so eat quickly.
Okay. Later, Dad was horrified because I couldn't play to save my life. I told him that maybe I was just tired, and he looked confused. Then I went to my room to call Vanessa. Your life is weird as heck.
Yours too. Hey, there's this guy called Caden who brought me a rose. He told me something about how he loves how I changed for him and that he likes the clothes I'm wearing.
I tried to remain calm. Vanessa, what have you been wearing?
My usual clothes.
You're supposed to be dressing like me. Oh my gosh, you're ruining my reputation, my street cred. Mom's going to start thinking I'm crazy too.
Okay, fine. I'll wear your horrible clothes. Hey, I have one thing to ask.
What?
I have a boyfriend, Grayson. I need you to go out with him and stuff so he doesn't think I've forgotten about him. Just don't get too close, okay? I left a spare phone in my bed. His number is there.
Fine. I texted this Grayson dude and imagined that he probably looked like a real dweeb in person. I'll pick you up after school tomorrow. See you then, babe. Love you. He replied and I cringed. Vanessa's school was awful. It was a private school, obviously, and the richest, most obnoxious kids went there. One of them tried to talk to me. Big mistake.
Hey, Vanessa, do you wanna...
Get lost, nerd. I barely got through the day without getting pulled for detention. After school, I waited for Grayson outside. I saw a red Ferrari pull up and the driver rolled down his window. Hi, beautiful. Keep moving, jerk. I can't even go to school without getting catcalled. Vanessa, are you okay? Grayson? I was shocked. He was hot. Like, super hot.
Just joking.
I got into the car and he sped off. How did my nerdy, perfect sister pull this one off? He drove us to the old Orchard Beach and we held hands and sat in the sand. I didn't even remember that I had a crush on Caden because Grayson was just so perfect. I was falling for him, and I was falling hard. Later, he drove me back to my dad's place, and that's when the magic happened. Do I get a kiss goodnight? Sure. It was my first kiss, and it was the best feeling in the entire world. So, things were getting better. My dad and I watched a movie together every night, and I felt like I was really getting to know him. He was super sweet, and I couldn't help feeling a bit sad that I didn't have him in my life all those years. He didn't even force me to play the cello because I made a fool of myself at a concert and he decided that I probably needed a break. The highlight of my life was Grayson, who surprisingly couldn't tell that I wasn't his real girlfriend. That was crazy, but I didn't care. We continued going out on romantic little dates every night until... What do you think you're doing? Stop that right now! I didn't see it coming. I was in the middle of a passionate kiss with Grayson while sitting near a fountain at the mall. I looked up at the face that was trying to tear me apart from my man. Vanessa? Whoa, there are two of you?
I told you to go out with him, not to suck his face.
Sorry, but I'm in love with him. You're not Vanessa? No, I'm Riley. Whoa. Grayson was quiet for a while. Then he walked away. This is just too confusing for me right now. I think we need to take a break. No! Vanessa and I shouted together. Then we shot each other angry looks. I'm going back to my dad's house tonight. You've completely ruined my life. Fine. Your life is dumb and boring anyway. Bye. It was great to get back to my old life, but I missed Grayson like crazy. To make things worse, my mom kept staring at me like she thought I was crazy. Then, one night, I came home to find the biggest surprise in my living room. My dad was sitting chatting with my mom. They stared at me while I walked in. Vanessa told me everything. And after talking to your mom, I just want to say I am so sorry I haven't been there for you like I should. Your father and I both agree that we should have helped you and Vanessa bond as sisters. So we've decided to register both of you in a summer volunteer program together. You'll be monitoring kids at camp in the forest. Isn't that wonderful? You leave next week. No! They wouldn't hear it. And the next week, I was sitting next to a sister I hated, on my way to the wilderness, about to have the worst summer ever. We spent the first 2 weeks as mortal enemies. All we ever did was fight while the little kids looked at us like we were completely insane. Then, the unexpected happened. I went for a stroll on my own early in the morning and decided to take a break after I had walked a bit. I was starting to doze off, but then I heard a rustle behind me. "Who's there?" No one answered. I got up and looked behind me. I froze in fear. There was a huge black bear. I walked backwards slowly as it stared, looking at me like I was the most delicious breakfast it had ever seen. Then, I felt someone hold my hand. I jumped. "Shh, it's just me. Just back away slowly. Black bears don't usually hurt people. Calm down." We backed away slowly, but suddenly it lunged towards us. "Not today!" Vanessa pepper sprayed the bear's eyes and we ran away while it was blinded. When we reached camp, we burst into laughter. "Hey, you saved my life. Thank you." She gave me a hug, and just like that, we were okay again.